Good morning, lifers. Welcome to Tripod. This is our fourth episode, and we welcome you here. We have today, of course, the other two members of the Tripod. We have Pudi, or otherwise known as Prudencio Marciano Mupera Verso.
There
Hi there,
we
Pudi.
go again. Hello, guys, everyone. I hope you're okay. We are already live. Tripod is live for the moment. Welcome.
All
Our
Prudy,
right. And,
conversation.
how long did it
What?
take you to learn how to write your name?
Oh, it took
How
me
long did it take
one
you to learn how to
month.
write your name?
It took me 1 month. I I still have for within 1 month. I have my guide of my name.
let me introduce Mike first. And of course, we have the white guy with a brown heart, Mike Medlin.
Hey guys, good to be back with you.
All
Looking
right.
forward to my new Tagalog word today. I'm pumped. I'm ready.
Nice. All right. So we have been teaching Mike some Filipino terms for the past 3 weeks. And this is our fourth week. Wow. May apat na linggo na tayo. And this is our fourth week. We
Yeah.
are teaching Mike little by little Tagalog terms so that at the end of the quarantine time, maybe you'll be fluent in Filipino.
He's more Filipino.
It's going to be a
Yeah.
long quarantine. We don't want
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so we have a Tagalog term for you today. So Kim might be asking you once in a while to go to the grocery store, and that's what other husbands do nowadays. I did it for the first week, but my wife started to just say, uh, "Forget about it. Let's just do something else." But of course, might be asking you to do that. And when you go to the grocery store, you'd say, pabili po. Pabili po. So when you want to buy
Say that.
banana, you say, pabili po ng saging. Saging is banana. But let's just try to learn pabili po. You say pabili po.
Pabili, pabili po ng bread.
Should I say it now?
Something like that.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead, Mike.
And it means do you have or can I buy? That's what it
Yeah.
means.
That's right.
It's more of like, can I buy? It's more of like, can I buy?
All right, here goes. Pabili po.
There you
I do.
go.
Pabili po.
Again, you're flawless. Wow.
Oh man, that hurt.
Mike, you've been doing it so well in the past few weeks.
Okay.
Oh, Prudy,
Well,
thank you. You're a great
after this-
encourager.
After this is your free Tagalog or Filipino language tutorial. This tripod podcast will become one for you, all right?
Oh, I feel like I should be paying you.
Okay. We were having, because all of us are quarantined, we're having what we call our Starbucks party today.
Oh, yeah.
Can you show
Let's
your
show our
Starbucks
mugs.
mugs?
That's what is the guy Taiwan is Singapore. Oh, I got this from LA. So
No, Mike's is Tagaytay. That's Tagaytay. Although this is a Nescafe coffee that's in.
mine is tea.
I just feel
This
like
is tea.
I just feel like we're having Starbucks together while having some discussions. So, well, thank you guys for being here with us today. For those of you who are watching, and for those of you who are listening to our podcast, thank you for staying by. Thank you for choosing to join us this morning. Now, the reason why we're doing this is because we feel like one way or another we can reach out to you, and maybe you have some things that are that you are processing on your own during this quarantine time, and it's hard when you have that that process on your own. And so we feel like there are some issues that we can talk about, and we feel like one way or another, the three of us can join hands, join together, bring our minds together, those very intelligent minds. I don't know.
hoping that we are hoping that we are really intelligent.
We can provide some intelligent solutions to your problems. But no, we hope that this can be useful one way or another for you. But we chose to talk about today some struggles. We are now in the fourth week. No, this is the fifth week of quarantine time here in the Philippines. For in other areas, it can be probably shorter or some are probably longer. But here in the Philippines, we are in our fifth week of being quarantined. The first few weeks, medyo ano pa tayo, kakaiba. We feel different. There's an initial shock that we have experienced. But as the weeks come along, we are now feeling different. There probably are some struggles that are magnified because of this quarantine time, and we know that some of you are experiencing this right now, and so we thought maybe we can talk about that. Uh, we can try to offer some help or some thoughts. Maybe you're also, all of us here, the three of us, maybe we're also struggling and we would like to share with you our own struggles.
Mhm.
So you can relate with us because all of us are in the same boat. So guys, maybe you've been hearing things around, maybe you're talking to friends, maybe you are seeing this on Facebook, on social media. People are struggling during quarantine time. What are the things that you're hearing right now? What are the common struggles that they are experiencing nowadays?
Well, like you were commenting just a moment ago, in the beginning, it was kind of like a vacation. It was a nice little change of pace, and you get to be home kind of on your own schedule, doing your own thing. But as 1 week went into two, into three, and so forth and so on, the thing that was a source of enjoyment about quarantine, man, it became a burden and a frustration. And then, especially, I think a lot of us were really looking forward to the opportunity, at least here in Lausanne, of the quarantine being lifted a couple of weeks ago, for it to be extended for another 3 weeks. It's really magnified those feelings for us right now. We're starting to feel a little bit desperate, and I know that's certainly the way some of the direction, some of the emotions have been moving in the Medlin household. What about you guys? What about for you, Prudy? Have you been sensing that even within yourself? A little sense of frustration and maybe even desperation now that we keep moving into this quarantine even further and further?
Yeah, as you know, me, I'm quite an itinerant person. I'd like to go to one place to another, and feeling like with the extension of ECQ, I felt like more contained. I'm a free spirit person. I just would like to go somewhere. But being quarantined only here to the grocery and to the Talipapa area, parang mabigat, it's a heavy thing on my end not to fly somewhere, not to go somewhere. It's really difficult. Sobrang hirap. Noon okay lang. Sanay dito sa containment ng bahay ko, but right now it's getting to be heavy on my shoulder.
Yeah, so you probably are experiencing some frustrations too, no?
Yeah, frustrated. We had some
Think-
plans to go somewhere outside of the Philippines with my family, but then it was canceled.
yeah, and majority of the at least the our majority of our friends are working from home nowadays. And I've actually had some fun discussion with a friend of ours, si Josh. I don't know if Josh can be able to
Yeah.
listen to this. And he was suggesting, and this is a suggestion from some psychologists. Some psychologists, according to him, said that for you to beat the being alone and being sometimes we feel like working from home is tiring and working from home is boring. What you need to do, according to some psychologists, is for you to dress up as if you are going to the office, and or you probably have to wear your shoes, not just your sleepers. I don't know, whatever it is. Just work from home as if you're working in the office. And I told him, jestfully, I told him, Josh, that's good, but that's not sustainable. And then I showed him my pajamas because
Yeah,
working from home is has been my lifestyle for almost a decade now. But anyway, working from home is a struggle for most of our viewers and for most of our friends. They are having some problems adjusting to the work from home schedules, work from home
because
style.
the bed is just somewhere close nearby, and you just can't help but feel sleepy. When you feel sleepy, you can proceed on. But we need to be productive, especially if our boss, our employers are expecting something from us. So, do you have any tip, Mike? Can you share with us some of your tips in being more productive? How do you do it?
Sure. I think our situation is probably different from most of our people in that the three of us working from home is nothing new to us. This is what we do every day. And
Mm.
I agree with Arnold that dressing up every day to work at home is absolutely not sustainable. You might do good at that for about a week or so, but then it's going to be like, what in the world am I doing this for? It's just me. It's just me. But what I have found for myself is that, some days, some work days are more critical than others, where you might have a heavier workload on one day, or that the thing that you're working on is just more important than things that you would work on typically. On those specific days, I have found that if I really need to have laser focus and be super productive, if I will dress accordingly, it really does help. And for me, the big thing, and I'll go ahead and tell you right now, I'm not wearing shoes right now. For those days that if I really need to be laser focused, I need to put on some shoes. It makes a big difference for me. And I know that's kind of weird, but it makes a big difference for me.
It does. It does.
Oh,
On my end, I might not, because I work from home majority of the time, even before the quarantine days started. What I normally do is to put on my polo, and that's it. I mean, I feel like I'm going to the office just with my polo, with a special kind of top. But one of the things that is actually connected to that is for those of us who have kids, um, the quarantine days have brought the family together for better or for worse. Uh, because the kids are at home 24 hours a day, as opposed to in the past, majority of the time they'll be in school. And because they are not in school right now, and maybe they are not they are not outside the house playing, they are just stuck with their gadgets and watching TV, and you're trying to provide rules that are not being kept. There are some tensions that are building up because of that. How's the Medlin household handling this, Mike?
Well, there have been some tense moments for sure the past few weeks. But I think one thing that we have going for us that just in conversations that we had earlier, that's a little different. My kids are going to Western school. They're on the Western calendar. And so even though quarantine is been ongoing now for over a month, school has continued for them. It's just that it's no longer on campus; it's now online. So that's been beneficial to us in the sense that it's helped to maintain a sense of schedule and purpose during this time that maybe other families don't have. But nevertheless, I have a middle schooler. I won't mention his name, but I have a middle schooler in my house that if I would let him, he would have a device or a controller in his hand 24/7. Well, he might take a few hours to sleep and eat, but beyond that, he would have a controller and a device in his hand. So I've had to be much more intentional in helping him to manage his time because it's real easy for him to get distracted, especially when now even school is online. It's real easy to jump from one tab to another and be watching YouTube when you should be doing your studies. And so I've had to
Mm.
be more intentional.
So you mentioned him and a middle schooler. So I think I know who he is right now.
I know who that kid is. How about the younger ones? The younger ones are more. How will I say that? They are more active. How
Yeah,
do they affect your work right now that they are normally home?
well, they both understand that they're even at their young age that dad works from home, and that I there are a certain amount of activity that I need to do during the day. Nevertheless, they still come, and I try to be as polite and gentle with them as I can. But be honest, I get frustrated too, and have to shoo them away. But just managing that as best as we possibly can. That's the
Oh,
best I can get for that. They're doing okay. They like to go and play outside. They're still at that young age where they like to run around with their friends, but there's none of that to be had right now. So you have to kind to have extra grace during this season and just be aware that things are going to be different. You have to make special allowances during this time and then
mm.
try to get back to normal when we get on the other side of this.
Arnold, ikaw, you have two teenagers. How do you manage to have teenagers
Well,
24/7 being at 24/7 home?
well, Arwen, my 11-year-old, is technically not yet a teenager, but she acts like a 16-year-old kid. So we probably have to, re-qualify her for that. But anyway, yeah, I echo Mike's sentiments. Although, uh, the way, obviously, Mike's mindset, uh, for better or for good, is from a Western perspective. We are coming from a Filipino household perspective, and so you can probably say that we are more authoritarian when it comes to uh, rearing our kids, also for better or for worse.
That's
It,
where my wife gets it from.
yeah. So we are. That's how I kind of try to manage my kids, but sometimes it doesn't work. Honestly, the kind kids are acting up these days. So I have to adjust. I have to try to understand them more and see how what's the better parenting approach. But I guess the takeaway from a parent perspective, at least from my perspective, the takeaway right now is this: that being in quarantine, you are given more time to understand your kids. And even if I mostly work from home in the past, I honestly can spend more time with them only on weekends and in the evening. But because of my schedule, I normally am not available in the evening, so I'm not able to see them quite often. But nowadays, I can now see them more often, and that's why I can also spend more time with them. And that's why also I need to know how to interact with them in a more uh, graceful uh, way, in a way that they can understand, in a way that I can also understand them. So it's a challenge. Majority for some of us who are parents, it might be a challenge for you, but we can get there. We can try to understand our kids during this quarantine time. Yeah.
Hmm. I
So,
cannot relate much.
well, you can relate with this. Maybe you are able to talk with some couples, some friends of yours, maybe you are able to understand and hear their concerns during this quarantine time? Meron ka bang naririnig na ganyan nowadays sa mga struggles nila?
Yeah, sa couples, kasi pardon my some Tagalog words, Mike. Kasi ngayon, 'di ba, yung mga mag-asawa dati nagwo-work yung husband, parehong nagwo-work. So ang time nila home is yung kung gabi lang o kaya kung ano yung different schedules nila, may certain period of time na nagkakasama lang sila within their house mismo. Pero ngayon napilitan sila na magkasama within the confinement of their home. So lahat ng kibo ng isa nakikita. Lahat ng ginagawa ng isa nakikita. So yung mga maliliit na irritability, nag-exaggerate. It's the small irritable things are becoming exaggerated or magnified, I should say. Lalo na halimbawa dun sa practice of we are normally using the internet, we are browsing sites, we are looking over into some different pages, whether it be work, pero karamihan mga entertainment natin, ang mga lalaki mas madalas, men normally has the tendency to look into some sites that are sexy, sexual ang mga either
Content.
images or contents. And I heard of some items, some emotional tensions between husband and wife, that wives are hurt by that. The two of you are the married ones. What can you say about it?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Mike about his pastoral advice on how to deal with pornography, for particularly when you are in quarantine time, because they have more time to go through these sites. The temptation is there, but I'd like to talk about the realities that husbands and wives need to understand need to understand each other more, right? So here's the thing, here's the reality. It will take time for you to understand your spouse. And when I say it will take time, it will take years. And that's why yung first few years for you will be the hardest years. Yung transitional years yan eh, yung first few years. Now, itong quarantine time na nangyayari sa atin sa ngayon, it accelerates the process. No? The things that you should know from your spouse, now it will take some years to take, no? Ang nangyayari ngayon, it accelerates kasi you are lumped together in one place for 24 hours a day. And so you are now going to be seeing your husband or your wife, and some of this, especially if you're newly wed, there are some attitudes, there's some characteristics, there's some things that you need to see your spouse for a few more years, pero nangyayari na ngayon. And so, yung tension is going to be there. The tension is really going to be there. But at the end of the day, because you're husbands and wives, this is the process that this is an opportunity. You can turn the crisis in your household as an opportunity to really understand each other. This is an opportunity for you. Now that it's being accelerated, now this is the opportunity to learn from each other. Yeah.
You're trying to say that the relationship blends, have the dynamic of making it blend together in this short period of time, rather than wait for years.
Yes.
Years to come.
Although of course, it's going to be hard because it accelerates things. Maybe you are not prepared to do that yet, but because we are, this is the opportunity now that's given to us. Let's maximize that. Let's try to maximize
Mm.
that by trying to understand our spouse some more and trying to understand where they're coming from, the characteristics that they are in. Maybe they're not showing that before, but because you are now together for 24 hours a day, you are now going to see that, and you have to accept that, and you have to accept your spouse because of that. Yeah, Mike. You are going to say something about, a while ago.
Yeah, I would agree with you that the struggle does provide opportunity, and so why not take advantage of it? Don't lose the opportunity that's been given to you to deal with this issue now instead of later. But while you're in the struggle for the wife specifically, I want to validate her emotions, of feeling hurt and feeling
Mm.
maybe even betrayed. You're right to feel that way. You should feel that way. This is not part of God's plan for your marriage. This is not part of God's plan for your husband's life or for your relationship with one another. It's
Oh,
destructive to him. It's destructive
Mike,
to his relationship with God and with you. Go
can I
ahead, Tony.
just give a little comment? Here's the issue with with the things on watching or viewing, going to pornographic sites. A lot of people are thinking that it is okay or it is normal for a lot of people or men particularly to be entertained by that. What's your thing on that?
Well, I would say that it's normal for all of us to sin. All of us have a sin nature, but just because we have a sin nature doesn't make it right for us to sin. And pornography is a sin. As men, we are naturally drawn to that. We are. God has placed within us a desire for things, all things beautiful. Um, but ultimately, that's to be met on earth in a physical relationship through our spouse. But ultimately, to be met in a relationship with the Lord, not through pornography or some other artificial means. So for the wife, I really want to validate her and her feelings. This is not normal. Don't let anyone tell you that this is normal behavior, that it should be expected and allowed in your marriage. But at the same time, I also want to say to her, it's not your job to change your husband because you can't do it. In trying to change your husband, you're only going to push him away.
Yeah.
That was some of the best advice that I ever received in premarital counseling, is that you can't change your spouse, but God can. God can, and you need to pray. And that's what I would encourage her to be doing for her husband. On the flip side, for the husband, I hope that he will be sensitive to the heart of his wife and to the heart of God, and realize that this is wrong. And there is a way out. There is no struggle quite like pornography, I don't think, for most men. It is highly addictive, but there is a way out. And it begins with honesty and transparency and bringing the sin into the light. And in this situation, man, you've won half the battle already. It's already in the light. She knows. Other people know about the situation. Now you just need to press
Mm.
forward in accountability. Find someone that will walk through this process with you and be a source
Oh,
of encouragement and hold you accountable to make sure that you're trying to stay away from this. You need help. This is not something that you should be walking through by yourself. So find a brother, maybe a pastor or a leader of a small group, or just a good friend that's a believer that will help you through this process to freedom. So that would be my encouragement to the husband and to the wife.
Yeah.
um,
The the thing with quarantine time is that there might be some issues that we're dealing with in the past, even before the quarantine time. There are some issues that we probably are dealing with. And because we are all quarantined, there's nothing to do. These issues are magnified. These issues are, uh, it might already been there in the past, and now we have no choice but to deal with it. And that's, I guess, is one of the thinks about and how we can. This is a way for us to maximize this opportunity. This is a way for us to try to deal with that with ourselves and with our loved ones, and try to sit down sometimes with some of the family members who are also involved in this process. Deputy was
Um,
saying something.
yeah, yeah, we have one of our somebody tuned in. He is one of the pastors of Saddleback Santa Rosa. Mike Ayala, yeah, shout out to you. Mike, he sent me a message in relationship to what we're talking about. It's in relation to bad habits. He said, "Know your triggers. When am I most tempted? Number one, where I am most tempted. Who is with me when I'm most tempted? What temporary benefit do I get if I give in? And how do I feel right before I'm tempted?" Thank you, Mike, Mike Roy Aliala,
Mm.
for that message.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, we talked about four things today, and I hope that our viewers and listeners of our podcast, one way or another, are benefiting from this. We talked about our erratic emotions because of our quarantine time. We talked about working from home and how it's really hard to adjust to that. We talked about our kids, and we're learning a lot from our kids. Our kids are learning a lot from us about us as parents during this quarantine time, and we're also learning about some couples out there that may be having some issues because of being together for 24 hours, which is really supposed to be the best time for us to know each other, but it's not happening for some of them. But again, as I said a while ago, these may be challenging times for all of us, but this is a crisis, and yet we can still make use of this crisis and convert this crisis into an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to grow. It's an opportunity for all of us to understand each other in the household. It's an opportunity for you to understand yourself and grow in
Yeah.
your relationship with God. Any last thoughts, Kepudi? And then Mike?
Here's what I see here. Unfortunately, the quarantine time magnifies the bad things that has been happening in the past, probably in your relationship with each other. It just becomes magnified because you are forced to be here together for an extended period of time. But instead of that, destroying your relationship, the thing here is make it an opportunity for your relationship to get deeper, to know each other as family, or as couples, as husband and wife, or as people who are living in one confined place. I think that let's take those this opportunity for something that is good.
Mike?
And
Any
I would
last
just
thoughts?
add that, during quarantine, we're all going to experience loss or struggle to some degree. Really, the difference maker is the direction we take that, the direction that causes us to run. And I would encourage you to run to God in your loss and in your struggle. Be real about the pain and the emotions that you're feeling. God's not afraid of that. He's wanting to be there with you during that whole process. And I have a daughter here this year that it's her graduation year, and just yesterday, in fact, the school announced that they were canceling her graduation ceremony, made it official yesterday. And so we were expecting that to happen, but the news just came out yesterday, and it was a very emotional moment for her. And so there's nothing wrong with those emotions, but allow those emotions to draw you to God. God is close to the brokenhearted. He wants to be there for you. So uh, allow this opportunity to do that for you, to be that for you, an opportunity to grow closer to Him.
Yep, yep. And with that, we're going to end the fourth episode, episode 4 of Tripod. And we're going to end with Mike's word for the day, which is pabili po. Because I know maybe Kim will ask you to go to the grocery store later on. So you have to say this. You have to say pabili po. Let's do it, Mike.
Pabili po cheeseburger.
Okay, then let's do it again. You say pabili po. Pabili po.
Pabili po ng,
Pabili
you add
po
on, sorry.
cheeseburger.
You add on ng. Pabili po ng,
Okay. Pabili po ng cheeseburger.
yeah, you get it.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Thank you, Pudi. And with that, we would like to say thank you guys for being here with us today. And we hope that one way or another, God has blessed you with our discussion today. We're going to see you again next week for another episode of Tripod. Hi, everyone. Bye, everyone. And we're going to ask Mike for pabili po later on. Thank you, guys. See ya.